What you're looking at here is the most famous airship disaster ever recorded. This is the Hindenburg, a zeppelin that crashed and incinerated while landing in 1937. But wait, how did we get here? Well, to understand that, we need to go back.
It's first in the flank. Get it started. It's fighting and it's crashing. It's crashing terrible.
We're going to go through 4 key moments in history that led us to this disaster. Our first key moment takes us back about 15 years before the Hindenburg even took off. In the 1920s, commercial airships began taking flight and became increasingly popular. One of the main reasons was that they were quicker and cheaper to cross the Atlantic Ocean than traveling by steamship. The technology of airships kept progressing until the Hindenburg's maiden voyage in 1936. This zeppelin, taking off from Hamburg, Germany, could carry more than 70 passengers and was filled with luxurious features like dining rooms, a lounge, and even a piano. And not only was it incredible on the inside, but the outside was a grand sight to behold as well. And the people involved with flying the ship knew that. On the day of the crash, the Hindenburg flew over New York so that people would see it in the sky in all its glory. Pushing the spectacle even further, cameramen were set up at the landing site. However, weather conditions at the landing site in Lakehurst, New Jersey were poor. It was rainy, and winds of 48 kilometers per hour forced the pilot to delay the landing by several hours. The Hindenburg circled the area until around 7 p.m. Finally, the airship commander decided to land after conditions began to appear slightly better. But more on that later. For our second moment, let's go back to when the Hindenburg was being built. The ship's creators made some critical decisions that led to the fatal crash. One of them being the skin of the zeppelin. It was noted at the time for being an odd choice, and that's because it was covered in a highly flammable paint, intended to act as an impervious barrier for the hydrogen inside. Its ingredients consisted of iron oxide and aluminum-impregnated cellulose, which are reactive chemicals. Some experts have also noted that adding a static charge to this flammable skin could have been a factor in the Hindenburg catching on fire. And that leads us to our third moment, which had to do with another flaw in the ship's engineering. But this wasn't a mistake that happened while the Hindenburg was being built. Instead, it occurred a decade before. The United States passed the Helium Act of 1925. Helium was deemed to be a precious resource, one that was strictly to be used for national defense and aeronautic development. Later, the act made exporting it to foreign countries for things like airships impossible, which caused complications for the Hindenburg's development over in Germany. Because the US had a monopoly on the gas, there was no other option but to use hydrogen to fill the Hindenburg. Hydrogen is the lightest gas we know of, lighter than helium, but it's also incredibly flammable. Investigations and reconstructions of the disaster confirm that the hydrogen, combined with the weather and a possible gas leak, was a major part of what led to the airship's incineration. So, it's these 3 moments in time that lead us to the start of this horrifyingly historic disaster. But one final moment changed everything once the Hindenburg began to crash. During its attempt to land, it made 2 hard left turns. These maneuvers may have snapped a steering cable. And if that cable was flailing around after snapping, it could have created sparks and may have punctured one of the sealed hydrogen cells. This would have released more hydrogen, and again, combining it with the skin and the storm, created the perfect conditions for the ship to burn.
Into the hangar. Motors are idling. All seem ship-shape to the scurrying crew below, and suddenly... It takes to tell, the scene is one of horror, as the ship has slowly sagged to earth and the flames have enveloped the entire structure, many of those aboard having jumped to escape cremation.
This tragic event on May 6, 1937, killed 36 people. It also spelled the end of the grand spectacle of airships. After this disaster, airplanes became the dominant mode of air travel.